In previous lessons, you focused on the SAS programs that you inherited at Orion Star. In this lesson, you learned to access and view the Orion Star datasets that you'll be working with. First, you'll write a simple program to access a SAS library that contains the Orion Star datasets. Then, you'll view the contents of the library and look at individual datasets. Finally, you'll sort a SAS dataset. Here's what you learn in this lesson. To start, let's look at how SAS files, such as SAS datasets, are stored. A SAS library is a collection of one or more SAS files that are recognized by SAS and that are referenced and stored as a unit. You can think of a SAS library as a drawer in a filing cabinet, and a SAS dataset as one of the file folders in the drawer. Each file is referred to as a member of the library. No matter which operating environment you use, you refer to a SAS library by a logical name called a libref. A libref references a particular physical location that the operating environment recognizes. You can think of a libref as a shortcut to that physical location, or as a nickname or alias. A SAS library corresponds to the way that your operating environment stores files. In the Windows operating environment, for example, a libref is typically assigned to a group of SAS files in the same folder. At the beginning of each SAS session, SAS automatically creates at least 2 libraries that you can access. You can also create and access your own libraries by assigning a libref to a physical location that contains your SAS files. Let's look at the libraries that SAS creates automatically. Work is a temporary library. At the end of every SAS session, SAS deletes the work library and any datasets or other SAS files that you've stored there. Any other libraries that SAS creates automatically, like SAS user, are permanent. The libraries that you define are also permanent. When you store your datasets in a permanent library, the datasets continue to exist in your operating environment after the SAS session ends. Now, try answering a question about SAS libraries. All SAS datasets have a 2-level name. A 2-level name consists of the libref and the dataset name, separated by a period. Orion.orders and work.newSalesEmps are 2-level names. When a dataset is in the temporary work library, you can optionally use a 1-level name. A 1-level name consists of just the dataset name, such as newSalesEmps. When you specify a 1-level name, SAS assumes that the dataset is stored in the work library, so work is the default libref. However, when the dataset is in a permanent library, you must use a 2-level name. In an earlier lesson, we ran the SAS program shown here. In this program, a data step creates the temporary dataset newSalesEmps by using the 2-level name work.newSalesEmps. Both of the proc steps reference this dataset. When the current SAS session ends, SAS deletes the newSalesEmps dataset along with any other datasets that are stored in the work library. Now, try answering a question about datasets and libraries. Suppose you know the physical location of the datasets that contain Orion Star data. Now, you want to define a library named Orion for those datasets. After you define the library, you can explore the datasets and reference the datasets in your SAS programs. In SAS code, the libname statement defines a SAS library. The LibName statement creates a libref that you specify and points to the physical location of the SAS files that you want to work with in the library. The syntax of a basic LibName statement is shown here. The LibName statement begins with the keyword LibName, followed by a libref that you specify, and then the physical location of the SAS library. The LibName statement shown here defines the libref Orion and specifies the physical location C:\Orion data. The LibName statement is not part of a proc step or a data step, and it does not need a run statement. It stands alone. The LibName statement is a global statement. You can submit a LibName statement by itself, as shown here. Or you can store the LibName statement with any SAS program so that the SAS library is defined each time the program runs. If your program needs to reference datasets in multiple locations, you can use as many LibName statements as you want. Now, let's look at how long a LibName statement stays in effect after you submit it. In an interactive SAS session, a libref that is assigned by the LibName statement remains assigned until you cancel or change the libref, or until you end your SAS session. After you end your SAS session, the contents of a permanent library still exist in their physical location in your operating environment. Each time you start a new SAS session, you must resubmit the LibName statement for the SAS libraries that you need to use. Now, try answering a question about SAS library. Now, let's take a closer look at specifying a libref in the LibName statement. A valid libref must follow several rules. Here are some examples that illustrate these rules. A libref must have a length of 1 to 8 characters and must begin with a letter or underscore. The remaining characters must be letters, numbers, or underscores. Now, try answering a question about librefs. Now let's look at the syntax of the physical name or location of a SAS library in the LibName statement. You enclose the physical name in single or double quotation marks. Remember that the physical location is dependent on the operating environment. In the Windows example shown here, the physical location of the library is C:\Orion data. In Windows and Unix, the physical name must reference an existing directory. The LibName statement does not create a new directory.
Now let's run our LibName statement in SAS to define the Orion library. First, we type the LibName statement in the editor. After the LibName keyword, we specify the libref Orion, and then the physical location where the Orion star datasets are stored. Now let's submit the statement. After submitting a LibName statement, it's a good idea to check the log. Here's a question. Was the Orion libref successfully assigned? A note verifies that the libref was successfully assigned. The Explorer window also shows that the Orion library was successfully created.
Now practice using your SAS software. Now that you've defined the Orion library, you want to see what's in the library. To view the contents of the library, you can write a SAS program that creates a report like the one shown here. This report shows general information about the library and also lists the members of the library. You can also use the Explorer window to view the contents of a library. To create a report that displays the contents of a SAS library, you can write a proc contents step. Later in this lesson, you'll also learn to use a proc contents step in a different way, to display information about an individual data set. The syntax of a basic proc contents step is shown here. An example program that displays the contents of the Orion library is also shown. A basic proc contents step has two statements, a proc contents statement and a run statement. The proc contents statement starts with the keywords proc contents. Following these keywords is the data equals option. When you use proc contents to list the contents of a SAS library, you indicate the library after data equals by specifying the libref, followed by a period, and the keyword _all_. When you specify _all_ in data equals, proc contents displays a list of all the SAS files that are contained in the SAS library. By default, a proc contents report also includes information about each individual dataset in the library, called the descriptor portion. If a library has many datasets, a report that includes all the descriptors can be very long. To suppress the descriptor portions in the report, you specify the No DS option. You can specify the No DS option only with the keyword _all_. Notice that you must use a space to separate _all_ from the No DS option. Finally, remember that the run statement tells SAS to execute the preceding SAS statements.
Now let's run our proc content step in SAS to see a list of datasets in the Orion library. We'll also look at information about the library in the Explorer window. In the proc content statement, we specify the libref Orion, followed by a period, and the keyword _all_. We don't want our report to include the descriptor portions for individual datasets, so we add a space and specify the No DS option. Let's submit the program. Notice that the output has two tables. The first table, directory, lists general information about the library. The second table lists all members of the library in alphabetical order and provides basic information about each member. As the member type column indicates, the Orion library contains two types of SAS files, datasets and indexes. Only the datasets are numbered in the first column. The names of the datasets indicate the kinds of information about Orion Star that you'll work with. Let's scroll to the bottom of the report. Now let's see what happens if we remove the No DS option. We submit the modified program and view the output. After the list of members in the library, the report shows the descriptor portion for each dataset in the library. This report is much longer than the first one. Instead of using a SAS procedure to view the contents of a library, you can use the Explorer window. Double-click Libraries to show all the available libraries. When we worked with the Explorer window earlier, the only libraries shown were the libraries that SAS creates automatically. Now the Orion library is also available. One way to see general information about a library is to right-click the library name and select Properties. Notice that the information in the Properties window for the Orion library is similar to what's shown in the first table in your proc contents report. Now let's close the Properties window. Now double-click the Orion library to show its contents. Scroll down to see all of the data sets that this library contains. Later, we'll open a data set from here and examine it in detail.
Now try answering a question about Now practice using Now that you've defined the Orion library, you'll have access to the permanent datasets that you'll work with as an Orion Star programmer. You'll also work with temporary datasets, like new sales EMPs. All SAS datasets, both temporary and permanent, are data files that SAS creates and that only SAS can read. Many SAS procedures and some data step statements can only process data that is in the form of a SAS dataset. Before you start to reference SAS datasets in your SAS programs, you'll want to explore the structure of SAS datasets. As you know, a SAS dataset is displayed as a table with columns and rows. The terms table, column, and row are commonly used across different types of databases. In SAS, a table is SAS, a table is usually called a dataset. A column is called a variable, and a row is called an observation. In new sales EMPs, this is the variable job title, and this is observation 3. A variable is a container that stores values. In new sales EMPs, the value of the variable job title in observation 3 is sales rep 1. The data portion of a SAS dataset contains the data values. You can see the data portion in the View Table window. The other portion of a SAS dataset is called the descriptor portion. The descriptor portion contains information about the attributes of the dataset, such as the name of the dataset and the date it was created. The descriptor portion also contains information about each variable, such as the name, type, and length. The information that's stored in the descriptor portion is called metadata. You can't see the descriptor portion of a data set in the View Table window. Instead, you can view some of the descriptor information in the Properties window for the data set. You'll access the Properties window from the Explorer window later in this lesson. Later, you also write SAS procedures to view both the data portion and the descriptor portion of a data set.